Now, the Spanish rider, the number one rider for the Spanish team, riding Miquel Alemany Hospital's Mirla CP. This is Spanish-bred Anglo-Arab horse. There were 3 CP horses listed for the Spanish squad here.
Really?
9-year-old Mirla CP and Albert Hermoso Farràs. Finish our first team rider rotation. 4th Euros in a row for Albert. He rode Hito CP at the World Equestrian Games last year. His combination have also jumped internationally. In pure show jumping, jumped to meter 20 with the jumpers, and they've had a top 10 finish in the CCI 3-star at Montelibretti in Italy and in the CIC 3-star at Jardy in France.
I have to say, I don't think I've seen so many horses in double bridles at an eventing competition as we've seen so far today. Not that there's anything against them. The horses, on the whole, have been very accepting of the double bridle. It's the 2 bits in the horse's mouth as opposed to the 1. But they can only use the ordinary Cavesson noseband. They have no opportunity to use a drop noseband or a flash strap or any other form of extra equipment to endeavour to keep the horse's mouth shut. And if a horse is accepting the double bridle well, it gives that little bit more finesse and feel for the rider and horse combination. The impression of this horse trotting around the outside of the arena at the moment is a horse of elegance and some refinement. But what goes on outside the arena sadly counts for nothing. It's not until he gets in these boards between those flower tubs a day.
So Spain have taken just 1 medal in the history of the championships, Enrique Sarasola's individual bronze at Pau in France in 2001. And to start their challenge here at Blair Castle for the Spanish team, Albert Hermoso Farràs and Mirla CP.
Just on this initial entry, 2 things catch my eye. Oh dear, something's caught his eye as well. Is the activity of the hocks, the bending and the joint of the angle, but equally that the horse was just looking a little bit downhill. Yeah, I'd like to see his nose a little bit forward, but he's got athletic, springy steps. That looks, from this position and this angle, very adequate. Could I say a little modest in that medium trot? Didn't see massive ground cover, but the horse had that little bit of a spook at the first halt, and maybe he's just having to keep it just a little bit more relaxed and settled before he can ask the horse for its full expression and power. Certainly you can see from the position of the camera at the moment, the horse needs to be a little more uphill and looking forward, taking the nose forward and bringing the pole, that's a knobbly bit between the horse's ears, up to the higher point. Needs more ground cover, more ambition, more just drive into those extended paces. We need to actually recognise what the horse is doing. If we just walked in now, we wouldn't have known that he was endeavouring to ride the extended trot. It looks too much like a medium trot, and a fairly modest one to me at that. But what's he feeling underneath him? Is he sitting on an exploded time bomb? We can't say.
They're just trending a little bit over 60% at the moment, so 57.8 is his in-running penalty total.
You're a brilliant mathematician.
I usually get to seem very, very intelligent by converting the percentages offline, but they've put them on the screen into penalties already, so I've taken away one of the strings to my bow.
You see how dim I am over maths. I'm absolutely hopeless. That didn't look like a bad pirouette to me. And these have been introduced quite early into these FEI tests, more or less as a turn on the haunches, which is not quite as demanding. They're allowed to have a slightly more a bigger circle, more open frame. A little bit of loss of rhythm there. And again, this horse just wanting to bear down to the ground all the time for me. Not in what we call self-carriage. Maybe this is why he's had to put the double bridle on to try and stop him heading southwards. And there's a loss of rhythm. And he's stepping wide with that right hind leg, not keeping it underneath the horse's body. Canter looks better than the trot, just at first impressions. Remember that lovely French horse that we saw? Remember how much time that horse spent in the air with his paces? He pinged on off the floor. This horse is just staying on the floor a little bit too long with all 4 feet. Flying change came off, a little bit modest, but then all the work's been a little bit conservative, hasn't it, with this horse?
But as you say, you know, the risk is if you push the throttles forward,
yeah,
what might you get in return?
Yeah, you certainly don't want things to backfire, do you? Keeping a rhythm here. But all the time you can see this nose of the horse wanting to just come down, down, down. Imagine if he could look a little bit more like an aeroplane beginning to take off. Yeah, and another correct change. So he's, you know, steady, and he's pulling up marks in this canter. First impression was that the canter work was improving, better than the trot work. We're not too sure whether we're on better marks here.
So, I mean, if that score we're looking at, he would be there or thereabouts with Dirk Schraad, and I'm just not convinced that somebody has pushed the right button, because it didn't just necessarily look of the same quality as Hop and Skip.
It didn't, and I think we had a big jump suddenly in the percentages, but...
So we'll get a provisional score in just a moment, but it might be that we see a big change when the paper records come back in.
Which puts them into 6th place. Still the leaders for France is Blair and Queen Mirla on 36.8. So please, another reminder, complete silence for the next combination that will be coming into the Longines Arena for the Longines FEI European Eventing Championships for the dressage phase in this second session of dressage.
So look back here at Albert Hermoso Farràs and Mirla CP, the breeder of these CP horses here this weekend. I'm very proud of having these very successful Spanish-bred Anglo-Arabs. It's quite a rare thing to be breeding in Spain, but they're successful. We see CP horses regularly on Spanish teams at the top level.
Yes, a great achievement, because at the end of a long day, whatever you breed, you get. You can always go buy what you want, but you can't always breed what you want. And I'm sure many of us with horses that we bred from at home sometimes don't really like to own up to the fact that we might be a little bit disappointed in the foal, but we still love them. And it's a great sense of satisfaction when you actually have something that you bred and comes through and does the job. Anyway, first of the Brits, individuals.
It is indeed. Gemma Tattersall, Arctic Soul, going to be next into the ring.
And what belief she's had in this horse, hasn't she, from the very start of its career?
At in June, they were 5th in the
Great smile from Gemma.